Good morning. India is a very ancient country and we all are Indian citizens. So, as a children of India, it is our duty to learn about the church in India. Yes, today we are going to start our 5th chapter, that is the church in India. So far, we have learned about the base of the church, the base of faith, how persecutions occurred, how the fathers of the church and our apostles and protectors of faith stood together for the growth of the church, and how church grew to what it is today. So now it is time to learn about the church in India. So in the 2nd chapter itself, we have told that Jesus sent his apostles to different places in the world to preach or to proclaim the kingdom of God. And the apostles, as he said, irrespective of any caste or any religion or any culture, moved to different places to proclaim the kingdom of God. So obviously, they might have come to India also, right? Yes, there are indications that show that the 2 apostles came to India. So who were they? The first one was St. Thomas and the second one St. Bartholomew. So it is said that St. Thomas came to India in 2 parts of India. The first one in North India, but after independence, when it got separated, it became Pakistan. And the second thing is in Kerala, that is in Kodungalur, Kochi and in Travancore. So when he came here, he started proclaiming the kingdom of God as he did in any other places, and also built 7 churches or 7 communities: Kodungalur, Kokkamangalam, Kottakkavu, Nilakkal, Palayur, Niramanam and Kollam. These are the places where St. Thomas had built his church or community. After that, during AD 72, he attained martyrdom in Mylapore. So our second apostle who came to India is Saint Bartholomew. He preached in Mumbai and its surrounding places. He had done so much of missionary work in these places during the time period of AD 53 to 62. As a result of all these missionary works by our apostles, a strong believing community started to develop in India. The Indian church started to grow. But the problem was that the Indian church followed a Persian culture. That is, they adopted Persian language and started to worship in the Persian method. What happened is that when all the false doctrines, heresies crept into the Persian church, this also became evident in Indian church also, because they follow the same methods of worship in Persia. So these people started to believe in the false doctrines that were completely against the church. You know what is heresy and what are the false doctrines. We have seen through it in the last chapter. So the same thing happened. They started telling that this is the true doctrine, you have to believe this, but this was totally against that. And another reason was that during that time, Indian church was purely caste based. That is, they did not allow any other people to come here or worship God. We know our church is universal. We have seen in the 1st chapter the attributes of the church. The main attribute of the church is that our church is universal. That is, our church is open to anyone, irrespective of any religion, any caste or any community. So this was totally against that. During the 16th century in India, it was purely caste based. Only Christians were allowed, and it had a lot of false doctrines, heresies, so we have to overcome that. In AD 345, a group of 400 people, including Bishop Mar Joseph, some priests and some deacons, traveled under the leadership of a famous trader Thomas and migrated from Cana to India. In India, they came to Kerala and settled down in the southern part of Kodungalur, and therefore they came to be known as the Tekumbagakar because they settled in the southern part of Kodungalur, and also they were known as the Knanaya. These people later on established a separate diocese known as the present-day Kottayam Diocese. Now let's see about the church in Kola. In AD 1291, a lot of migrants from Persia started settling down in Kola. But the main problem was that a very false doctrine, that is the Nestorian doctrine, started to spread in these communities in Kola. So we learned about the Nestorian heresy or Nestorian false doctrine. So what was that? It says that our Mother Mary is just Christotokos and not Theotokos. So I have explained it in the last class also. Christotokos means the bearer of Christ and Theotokos means the bearer of God. So Nestorius said that Mother Mary is just a bearer of man Jesus and not a bearer of God. So there is nothing to be much worshipped to Mother Mary. This is what he said. So these false doctrines started getting established in these churches in Kola. After that, two missionaries, a Franciscan missionary who was named as Monte Corvino and a Dominican missionary, Nicolas Piotia, came to India and settled down in Kollam for 13 months, and they were very successful in bringing back hundreds of people who went in back of the Nestorian heresy. They were able to bring back them to the true doctrine of the church. Jordan Catalonia, a Dominican missionary who came to know about the Christian community in Kollam by the letters of Monte Carvino, wrote a book describing the Christian community in Kollam, and he sent this book to the Pope, that is John 22nd, and thereby on August 9, 1329, a Kollam diocese was established. The Western world came to know about the Kollam diocese by the writings of Marco Polo. So children, that is all about today's class. Today we saw about the church in India. We saw about the two apostles who came to India. The first one was Saint Thomas, who came to India in two parts, that's in North India and also in Travancore and Kodungallur. Then we saw about Saint Bartholomew, who came to Mumbai and preached in the neighboring areas. We also saw that how important their missionary work was, because by this work they established a very strong believing community. Then we saw about the Kottayam diocese and Kanaya people who came from Kana and settled down in Kodungallur. Then finally we saw about the establishment of the Kollam diocese in August 9, 1329. So children, during this time I told you that Jordan Catalonia had written a book and sent this book to Pope John 22nd, right? So what is the name of the book that Jordan Catalonia has written to, by which reading that Pope John 22nd established a Kollam diocese? So that book is of much importance, right? Because it contained all the important work that were going on in the community of Kollam. So what is the name of the book? It is clearly given in your textbook. Just find out and send it to your respective teachers. So that's all for today's class. Thank you.